everyone, good morning. How are you? I'm going to be working on GraphQL API for the first time in Django today. So in the past I've worked on GraphQL but only with JavaScript, so I think this is going to be fun. I've been wanting to work on one in Django for a while, so yeah, I'm going to try it out. So I'm actually going to take one of the schemas from one of my other projects, so one of my REST API projects that I built in Django, and then try to do the same thing in GraphQL today. I'm just going to be doing some very basic like deck and card, not really endpoints because GraphQL only has one endpoint that you make all your queries to. So, but I'm going to try to do the same kind of implementation that I did here, but just with GraphQL this time instead of REST. So the first thing, if you've been following my streams, or even if you hadn't, so the link I posted earlier, this link basically to a wiki I've been building for how to set up Django projects in general. And so I kind of go through the steps here, let me zoom in, of how to set up all Django projects, like just the basic stuff that you need to do for every single project, and then also how to set up specifically a REST framework project. And then here I'm going to, after this stream, I'm going to add the Django GraphQL steps. I already have the technologies listed here. So Graphene seems to be the default standard if you want to implement GraphQL in Django. But there's also a lot of other libraries that go with it. And here are just some of the basic ones. So I can use GraphQL JWT for authentication. And I think that sends the token in a header. And yeah, and then graphical is just so we can kind of navigate our API. I'm not sure if I'll get to that today. Postman we can also use for testing the API, which I've never actually used Postman for GraphQL, but I was just reading about it that they have good GraphQL support, so might try to figure that out today. So I did go ahead and make a repo. Not a repo, but yeah, I did start a project with Django already, and I have my code editor open. Basically, if you've started a Django project, you know it gives you manage.py and then a basic like settings and config folder. So I'm going to be updating that first, following some of the steps I have for the basic setup. So the Django setup for all projects. Yeah, I already have these two steps because I have my Postgres running, which I always use Postgres. I have the Django admin installed. I already did this. So I'm going to create a virtual environment for Django just inside of the same folder. And so now I have this VN folder here. So I can go into my virtual environment. Okay, now I'm inside my virtual environment and I can start a poetry project. So I'm going to do poetry init. Now if you don't know poetry, it's an alternative to using pip that gives you more features like a lock file and a configuration file, no more pip freezing. It's just a lot nicer with more features, but you're installing the same packages. Okay, package name GraphQL is fine, version, description, author, end to skip. License, MIT, compatible Python versions. Yeah, that's fine. I think I'm on, I should have checked my shell before. I think I'm on 3.6.5 because I was with another project, but I can always switch to like 3.8 or 3.9. Would you like to define your main dependencies interactively? No, I will just install them. Okay, so if you've used npm before for JavaScript, yeah, basically it does the same thing, only it uses, yes I do, it uses the standards for Python. So package.json is the standard for JavaScript, and the standard config for Python is recommended to be pyproject.toml. So some libraries now are using that, like Poetry and Black and stuff like that. But this is way better than JSON because you can have comments, you can do a lot of different things with the configuration. It's not such a strict syntax as JSON. So I think it makes more sense to use this type of configuration file. Okay, so it's basically just defining my only dependency so far as Python. So I need to install some dependencies. Oh, okay, Django REST framework. I have to move this around. So this is only if I want a REST API. But I do want to install this psychopg for Postgres. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. And instead of pip install, I can do poetry add and then the package. Okay. And, oh right. Create a folder named apps. So I'll go ahead and do that. And that's where I'm going to put all of my Django apps. So I have an apps folder. And then I'm going to rename this because you can see my outer folder up here. If I zoom out, my outer folder is GraphQL. I'm pointing at my screen like you can see it. My outer folder here is GraphQL, and then Django created another GraphQL folder inside. Feathers.js, I've looked at that because we were going to start a project with it, but I've never really used it in a project. I think we tested it. We tested that and sales and a couple other things that we were potentially using, but then we ended up going with Express. So I can't say too much about that. Why, are there any features you like, or just curious why you brought it up? So I renamed that folder to config. I think that makes more sense because if you go to the outer folder called GraphQL and then another folder inside, that's kind of confusing. So now that I rename my folder, I have to let my project know about it. So let's see. I need to change this so it looks for settings inside the config folder. And then what else? I need to go into my settings.py and look for GraphQL. There we go. Don't know what happened there. All right, so this will be config, and then let's see, config, and then I believe URLs. Oh, wait, I think I have to. I think I changed my hotkeys here. But yeah, here, so in the WSGI, which I'm not even using right now, but I'll just go ahead and change it. And that's good. And then admin.site.urls. Okay, that's all fine then. So I updated this to config. I have my apps folder, and let's see, create an init.py file inside the apps folder so I can use it as a module. All right, new file, init.py. I'm also going to want to create a folder in here for my users app. I'll go ahead and do that. The concept of services in that is really great. I've started using it in one of the staging environments. You started using it in a staging environment. Oh, for services for your staging. Okay. Yeah, I would like to try it at some point. There's just so many. I have a list of 25 different frameworks and tools and things that I need to try. And this Django Graphene, GraphQL and Django was one of them. So I'm glad I'm finally getting to this. So user setup, this is pretty much standard for all Django applications. So this isn't anything new. I am going to add this to my config file. So I'm just going to add it to the bottom because it doesn't matter right now. I might arrange things later. Oh yeah, step 1. So I already created the users folder, and now inside of that folder, I want to create an app called users. So I'm going to run this command. Oh wait, I didn't realize I had an error in my package. Okay, real quick, I'm going to... Oh, couldn't import Django. Are you sure it's installed? Let me look at my Python version. 3.6.5. Let me actually, oops. Oh wait, pyenv. Let me change to a different version. I think I have it installed in a different version. I know I was doing a project 3.7.9. So let's see. Oh yeah, it can't find Django. So let me just do a poetry add Django real quick. Alright, that might take a minute to install all of Django. And then after that, I need to go back and see. Failed to add packages. Oh, this is the psycho PG. Oh, right. Okay. So if I don't have my environment, for some reason this happens all the time. If I don't have my environment set up a certain way, I'm just going to use the psycho PG binary. That's much easier. Poetry add psycho PG binary. Okay. So I should update that actually in my wiki here, because it's much easier to just use the binary unless you really know you want something else. Okay. Oops. Let me just commit that change. Before starting this video, we need to know about GraphQL and poetry. I would say you don't have to know about GraphQL because we're going to be setting it up. Poetry is pretty easy. It works like most. The API isn't too dissimilar from other package managers. It does a lot of things. Some things I'm not using, like I'm not using the poetry virtual environments. I just noticed I have a lot of green around me, like an alien hue. Anyway, it's probably my lighting. So yeah, poetry does a lot of things, but I don't think you really have to know too much about it. I mean, when you add a new package, it adds it to this lock file with the package dependencies to get everything in the right version, and then it adds your primary packages to this to the pyproject.toml file. So that's pretty much all it's doing right now. I didn't put a lot of other config in here or anything. Okay, so let's see, I did all that. Oh yeah, I need to do the users app now that I have all of that installed. So let's do, I didn't create the app yet because I was getting the error that Django wasn't installed. Oh, right. So I kind of jumped the gun on this. I have to comment this out until I actually install the app, because it won't create the app unless my settings file doesn't have any errors. So let's see. So I have auth user model, which I can point to. And the reason why I'm doing this custom user model is because Django has login with username and password by default and some other things. So I just want to change that to email and password. And then I can add whatever fields I want to the user. So, oh yeah, here is the actual code for the user model. One of the good things about Django is that it has a lot of code snippets in the docs, which are actually really good and useful, that you can use in projects right out of the box. Okay, so I'm going to copy this because I need a user manager. Actually, yeah, I need the user manager, and then I need to create my user and set things like the username field to email. The only other thing, I'm going to get rid of that date of birth field. So let's go down here. Unable to import. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Creates. Okay. Creates user with email and password. Get rid of date of birth. And oh yeah, get rid of this date of birth. Here, and I think it's in one more place. Oh, required fields. Don't need date of birth. Okay, so I think that's all that I need here. And then I'm going to create this table in the database in just a second. Don't need a form for that because this is just an API. Okay, so oh yeah, set up the admin interface so I'll be able to create users from the admin area. So I'm going to go into my admin.py file and go ahead and create that. Actually, there we go. Everything else looks right. Okay, so I have the admin file, and now, oh right, so before I actually run anything, I want to set up my correct database, and I'm just going to copy paste this and put it in my settings file. Now it already has settings for, where's the database? Did I miss it? Oh yeah, here. So it has settings for SQLite, but I definitely don't want to use that. And anyway, the Django project recommends using Postgres, so that's just what I always use. So the name, I'm just going to call it GraphQL, and then GraphQL admin. No password, localhost, all that's fine. Wait. I think I accidentally erased what wait, go back. Yeah, oh yeah, I needed to put that inside of here. So let me put this here. Okay, and now get rid of this. Much better. I was like, that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so I have the database set up in settings, but I do need to actually create the database because Django won't create my database for me unless I'm using something like Mongo. But with Postgres, I don't. So I do have GUIs, database GUIs, but I've just found that the easiest way to create a new database is with pSQL, which I got with installing when I installed Postgres. So I have the pSQL command, and Postgres, I'm just saying my user's Gwen. But now I can create a database. So I'm going to do create database, and what was it, GraphQL. Okay, created, and now I'm going to create user, and this will be GraphQL admin. And I do the same thing for every local project to just make it easier. Now all I have to do is assign permissions to this user for this database. So I think I have the command here. Yeah, grant all privileges on database. Okay, on database GraphQL to GraphQL admin. And it says grant, and that's pretty much all I have to do. Or that is all I have to do. And now my database is all set up, and I'm pointing to it. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now that I have the database set up, I do need to run the migrations to create the tables in the database. So let me do python manage.py. Let's see. Python manage.py. Yeah. First make migrations. Make migrations. Oh yeah, it's saying my users.user model. Oh, it's behind my face on the screen. It's saying my users.user model is not installed because I didn't add it to installed apps. Let's see. Installed apps. Yeah, I'll just add it after. So it's inside of apps.users and just do a comma dangle. Okay. So now I have it installed, so now it should run. If I do make migrations. Let's see. That has not been installed. Oh, I know what to. So when I was copying from the docs always call this my user manager just to show that it's custom. And my user, but I just renamed those to user and user manager. So I think that's it. Okay. Yes. Okay, it created my migration for user. And yep, my initial user migration is there. So I'm going to do python manage.py migrate. The last thing I need to do is create a super user. So someone to log into the admin interface. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Create super user. Go in at example.com. Password. Okay. Missing date of birth. So let's see. Oh, here. Actually, I should actually search this file for date of birth. Yeah. So it's expecting date of birth in there. But at least it isn't included in the migration. So if I go to, let's see. Yeah, there's no date of birth in there. Good. So let me try running this again. Create super user. Go in at example.com. Password. Okay, super user created successfully. So now I should be able to run this application. Do run server. Okay, and now it's at port 8000. So sweet. Okay, this is the default homepage because I don't have the REST framework or anything else installed. So let me try to install Django Graphene. Get rid of this. Okay, so I'm just going to follow the steps here. So I'm going to install Graphene Django. I think I can just install the latest version. So I'm going to use poetry, add Graphene Django. Okay, install the GraphQL core, GraphQL relay. Graphene at 2.1.8, and I can see that in my pyproject.toml file. Oh, it says 2.13. Oh, this is the minimum version. Okay, that's fine. Alright, I'm gonna get out of those for a second, and then I need to add it in my settings. So I need to add this to my installed apps, and I'm gonna do this right above my custom apps. And let's see. Okay, Graphene, so this is a custom configuration option that I need to add. And let me add it, I guess I'll just add it to the bottom here. Where your Graphene schema lives. Okay, so I'm going to have to add, I guess it wants me to add an app for schemas. So I have users. Let me add a schemas app then. New folder, schema. So let me do folder schema. Oh yeah, Python manage.py start app. This will be schema. Schema. Okay, so I created a schema app, and then it's suggesting I guess a schema.py file. So yeah, let me try naming it that and then see if I want to change it later. So let me do a schema.py file, and all right. So now I have the right file for that. Okay, and it's saying to set up the GraphQL endpoint, which makes sense. So this will be the only endpoint in the whole application besides the admin interface. Okay, so let me add this to my main URLs then. In our Django app. Yeah, let me add this to my main URLs file. So okay, I'll marry it with the admin, and then I can get rid of these. Okay. Do I need admin here? Oh yeah, I need admin.site.urls. Okay. GraphQL URL. Okay. So now I have my GraphQL URL. I'll add the trailing slash just because the admin has it too. And now, let's see. Now it's saying to add a model and then add a schema for the model. What am I going to develop? I want to develop a GraphQL API similar to this. So yeah, similar to what I already built. This is a REST API though, but you can see that if you look in apps, it's basically decks and cards. And so you have cards that are associated with decks and stuff like that. But wait, I think it's better to see it here. So you can, well, it's not that easy to see, but you can, in the nested routes, you have like decks. Oh yeah, here it is. So you have like decks/id/cards. So you have some nested routes. So I want to try to do the same thing with the GraphQL endpoints, but of course I won't need nested routes there. I'll just, based off of my query, I'll be able to do the same thing with only one endpoint. So hi Deepak J, how are you doing? It's good to see you again. Okay, so I'm in the middle of setting up Graphene, and okay, this is the user model example, and to create a Graphene schema for it, you have to write the following. So I don't know if I need a whole app for schemas, because I'll be doing individual apps, or maybe I want to import them all into one schema file. Okay, so Django object type. So I need to make a type for the model, and then I can create a query for the model. Object type users. So this is a query where I can get all users, basically. I can return all the users in the application. Yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and do the users to test this out, and I'm also going to have to get Postman working to test out GraphQL APIs. So let me copy this then, and I'll go into my schema app, and let's see, user, I need to import the user model. So let me do from apps.users.user, no, .models, import user. Oh, but I have another user here. So let me import user as user model. Okay. So this should set up my GraphQL query. And I think that's all I have to do here. Let me see. Because I already have my settings pointing to this file. I have my GraphQL URL. Let me just try running my server. Yeah, it seems like I have all the setup done. Hey Piera, how are you doing? Let's see. I hope I have all the setup done. Let's do python manage.py and run my server. Okay, so the server is running fine. That's a good thing. Yes, sweet. So page not found. That's because it's not using the default Django URLs or templates anymore, because this is now an API. So I can go to GraphQL. Oh, apps.schema has no attributes. Schema. I have a file called schema. Schema.py. I wonder if I need to, where your GraphQL schema lives. So I wonder if it's not talking about an application, a Django application, but it should be pointing to the schema file, unless I somehow messed this file up. Query. Yeah, this is my schema here. Oh wait, so it's going to be schema.schema.schema. Okay, this is a mistake. Okay, I didn't realize what I was doing, because it's looking for the schema inside of that schema file. So now this is what it is. In the schema app, there's a schema file with a schema variable, and now schema looks wrong because I've seen it too many times. Okay. Now let me, yep, that's it. Let me zoom out here. Oh yeah, it gives me graphical, so I don't need to install that separately. That's fine. Cool. So I'm happy this is working. Now I can make a query for it. So let's see if I remember how to do this. Query. I should do users. Oh, it autocompletes. Sweet. And then I need to say what attributes I want on the user, right? So I can do email. Can I run this? Sweet. Awesome. So if I add another user, let me go into the Django admin interface. localhost 8000 and then admin. All right. Let's see. Let me log in as my super user. Okay, so I have users here. Let me create another user. I'm going to create Marshall at example.com. Marshall's my brother's name. Last login. Can I leave that? Oh, this is password. Oops. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now I have Marshall and where is it? Here it is. Oh, there we go. Cool. So what else could I get back from the schema? I guess I can query for ID. Do I need a comma here? I don't think I need a comma. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I forgot I have docs over here. So I should be able to see, so I can see users, type user. So these are all the fields that I can query for. Is active, is admin, last login. Cool. All right, I'm happy with this. ID, yeah. It's not going to give me the actual password, right? That's hashed. Yeah, it gives me hashed password. Oh, this is in plain text. Oh, because in the admin interface, I need to fix that then. Creating users in the admin interface. I think I need to, what was it? Let me look at models. I need to, no, for admin. That's right, because when I put it in the admin interface, that's where I messed up, in this file. This has to inherit not from a regular model, but from a user model admin, basically. So that's why the password's being stored in plain text. And yeah, it's going to cause errors later. But anyway, this is just to test out the GraphQL. So let's see. What do I want to set up next? I want to set up the decks and the cards. So because I'm just moving this over to GraphQL, here's the repo, by the way. It's a REST API that I'm implementing in GraphQL now. It's a spaced repetition system. So I'm going to go ahead and create the same apps that I have here. So an app for deck and an app for cards. So let me close these. And I'm going to create 2 new folders here. So cards and decks. Yes, sir. Yes, I use Streamlabs OBS. I had so much trouble with regular OBS. I tried streaming quite a few times with it, and I don't know, it's a lot. There's a lot of configuration. Streamlabs just kind of works, so it's nice because all I want to do is just, press the go live button and have it work and not set up a million other things. I'm not a professional streamer, so I just enjoy doing it. So Streamlabs is the best thing, I think, for recreational streamers. And probably lots of different people. Even big streamers use it, like I can't remember his name, but even some streamers where they get hundreds of people on their live streams use it. So I think it's good. Let's see. Oh yeah, I need to create those 2 apps. So Python manage.py start app, and let's do decks. So I need to do decks. So I always said, like in previous streams, especially because I do REST APIs and the cards app too. So I always said, like, why don't they just create a urls.py file in every app? Why is this, separate? But now that I'm doing GraphQL, I can see there are definitely more cases now that I see where I don't want to have a urls.py file, not just a utilities or something. So yeah, it makes more sense now. Okay, so I started those two applications, and the things that I'm going to borrow from my previous repo are the models, because they're going to be the exact same, so there's no reason in me writing them out again. So let me start with cards. Let me go to cards, models. Yes. Also, if you wanted to see when I set up this REST API one, Twitch, they get rid of the streams after 60 days, so I did edit those and upload them to my YouTube channel if you want to check out, my YouTube channel. Alright, so, and that shows my setup for, yeah, the front end and the back end of this application. So the model should be exactly the same between GraphQL and the REST API. So let me go ahead and add the DEX model as well. And let me go back here. Go back again. Index, models. Okay, yeah, these are really simple models, so I think this is a good app to start with. Oops, let me get rid of that. And let's see. Even these features are present in Django REST framework. Why are you developing with GraphQL? What are the advantages of using GraphQL? And only because our work becomes easy to create API, that's why we need to move to GraphQL. I think there are some advantages of being able to just query for the exact data you want. Like, there are some cases where if you're using REST, you have to do many different queries, maybe like 5 or 6 queries to do something that you can do in one query with GraphQL and get the data in the format you want and just start using it. It seems like GraphQL is sort of a natural evolution to REST. So you don't have a bunch of different APIs when you have a bunch of related data in many different applications. I think when GraphQL is going to be, I don't want to say mainstream because it's already kind of mainstream. I've worked at several companies that use GraphQL, but I think when it becomes a language that can be used by default with databases. So if it became a database query language, which I've read about some databases using it as their query language. So I think that if maybe there's more adoption there. Anyway, that's kind of a tangent, but I think GraphQL is going to continue to be used more and more. The thing I've seen companies that I've worked at anyway have trouble with GraphQL was somewhat along the security lines, like because they're so used to REST and other APIs, so it's like, oh, now how do I handle tokens, or how do I handle these things that I already know how to handle in REST? So I think there's definitely a learning curve to GraphQL. Anyway, I got kind of sidetracked. Okay, so I have my models now in my DEX and cards. I'm going to just add these to the admin interface real quick, because that's just going to take 1 minute. So admin.py for DEX. Okay. Oh yeah. Get rid of that extra line. All right, and then do it for cards. Admin.py. And let's see. Apps. Oh, what am I doing? That doesn't belong in apps. There we go. This belongs in the py file, admin.py. There we go. Okay, so, all right. I have all of that set up in the admin interface and the models set up. Oh, I do need to add these two apps to the settings file. So I'll add them right below users. I'll add decks and then cards. And this will be interesting because these will give me what would be nested routes in REST. So it'll be interesting to see how I set them up in Graphene Django. Okay, so now I need to run my migration first. So let me do manage.py migrate. No, make migrations. No module named app. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't think I'll use. Let me see. So in my models. Oh, I'm importing timestamps. So what I've basically done here is I have created at and updated at because I want all of my models to have those fields. So I am going to add this really quickly. So let me create a folder for utilities real quick, because I feel like I'm going to want this later on. So a utils folder, and then I'll do Python manage.py start app utils. I need to create a generator that does all of these things for me. That would be so helpful, because there's like at least 20 or 30 steps that I do all the time, or do similar versions of all the time. No module named apps.utils. Oh, right, because, oh man, because I went out of order here. So let me do models.model, and then, oh, I didn't look for model yet. Models, okay, and then here, so let me do models.model, and that should get rid of my error because it's looking for something that's not there. Oh, it's still importing. All right, I need to change the order of stuff that I do here. Okay, so I have timestamps and timestamps. Those are both commented out. And now, okay, now it correctly created that application. So I'm gonna comment those back in and do timestamps here, and then do the same thing here. Timestamps. Okay, and now that I have the utils app, I can go into models here, and oh wait, yeah, now I can add that model. Oops. There we go. So because all my other models are inheriting from timestamps, which inherits from model.model, and they should all have created at and updated at attributes. But let me see if this works properly when I do migrations. Sweet. Okay, so migrations worked, and now let me do migrate. Okay, so decks and cards migrated just fine. All right, and now I can, okay, so now I have these, yeah, now I have to create the GraphQL schema for these things. So Let me get rid of all of this stuff. Let me start with decks. So, and let me actually add a deck in the admin interface first. So I'm going to do run server and then check out the admin interface. Cool. So now I can see cards and decks. If I go into decks, I can add a deck and computer science, description, ... Okay. So now I have computer science, I have a deck. So now let me try to set this up with GraphQL. And I guess it's going to be the same thing that I did before. Let me get rid of that. So in schema.schema.schema, I have, let's see, that should have 2 spaces. So I have the user class and then the user query, and I guess for right now, users. So inside of query, is this like my root query and then I add other models in here? As long as I create types, do I add everything in here? Let me first create a type, so because I know I need to do that. So let me create a class of deck. This will inherit from Django object type, and then I'll do a meta class inside, and my model will be, I'll keep the same naming convention, so deck model. Has anyone in chat ever used Django Graphene? It's been around for a long time, much longer than any other GraphQL GraphQL Django project. So, okay, let me import from apps.dex. Hi Loco, how are you? Let's see, apps.dex.models import deck as deck model. Okay. Now I feel like I can just add these to query. So I can do dex equals graphene.list and then deck. Yeah. And then this is resolve users. So I guess I need to create one like resolve dex. Resolve dex. Get self info. Okay. Not sure what I'll do with info, but I can do dex or deck model dot objects. Oh yeah, because I'm querying it now. So deck model dot objects dot all, and that's in the same schema. So I guess I should be able to. Yeah, my server's still running. Let me try this. Oh, I have decks now. Okay, so I guess that is how I do it. I have a love-hate relationship with Django. Love what you can do with it, but sometimes I feel it is difficult to do something specific. That is true, yes. But Django, yeah, Django's great for client apps that you need to build and ship quickly. Okay, so dex, let me try querying dex then. Dex and ID, title, description. Okay, so that wasn't anything difficult. Okay, now I need to set up the same thing for cards. All right, let me do card, and then this will be card model and then I need to import that. So cards.models. Does anyone know if there's some kind of Django generator? I guess I haven't looked for anyone because I've always just done like the Django start project. But it would be nice to just create my own generator to set all this stuff up. If anyone knows of one, then post it in the chat. Okay. So, oh wait. Oh, card, yeah. Card as card model. Oh, but then I need to set it up here too. So let me do that. Cards. And this is card. Okay, and then I need to resolve cards with card model dot objects dot all. Okay, so now I have my three models in GraphQL, and I should be able to do the same thing really. Cards. Oh, but now I don't have title and description, so I have question and answer. Okay, so that's good. I wonder, I should be able to do create. I guess everything is a post request technically in GraphQL, but I should be able to create cards from GraphQL. So I guess that's not a query, that would be a mutation, right? Mutation. And then, let's see. Supposed. Quick question, why GraphQL? When is that supposed to be used? I don't know when it's supposed to be used, but it can be used instead of REST as kind of a different way to set up and manage your application. I think it's better in a lot of ways for the type of applications because we've moved so heavily to APIs for applications and making all the different kinds of queries you need to make. Sometimes a lot of different queries for different data and then kind of merge them together on the front end. Yeah, it's basically an API that kind of sits in between, well, just like any other API, sits in between your database and your front end. But it, I guess more than that, it kind of manages how you interact with your data directly for you. So, okay, so cards, I can't remember, is this card if I'm doing a mutation? Oh, does it have like root types? Oh, I wonder if I have to set up mutation here. Do I have to have a class of mutation? That's a good question. Because root types, it only has query here, so I feel like I need a mutation. So this is the Graphene Django documentation again. It's not a database. I'm using Postgres for the database. So you can see that even here, like card model.objects.all, this is the same way I would query from with the Django. So I'm using the Django ORM. But because I'm setting this up in GraphQL in the query, it handles taking in the GraphQL API request, retrieving the data from here, and then returning it to the user for me. Yeah, it's interesting. The first time I worked at a company that was using this, it took me a while to get used to it. Okay, so what about mutations? Schema with filtering, cookbook example. Star Wars relay, that sounds interesting. Okay, so it's saying I can download and run it, but I'm just going to look at their code. Cookbook. Let's go into the schema file. Okay, so they're importing these different queries from recipes and ingredients. Oh, and they call them nodes. I guess that's maybe the more proper terminology. You can set interfaces, filter fields. Okay. I think I just need to look at the documentation. Let me look at the schema here. Recipe, ingredient, all recipes. So they're setting different kinds of queries that you can do here. Okay, that's interesting. But let's see. Oh, here are the docs. Here's the documentation. So installation, basic tutorial, relay, schema, queries, fields, extra types, mutations. Graphene Django makes it easy to perform mutations. They take advantage of pre-existing Django features to quickly build CRUD functionality. Okay, simple example. So I have the type already, so I have all my types. I don't need to import anything new for mutations. So basically mutation still extends from object type. And then the thing I need to do is create this mutation for each type that I want to be able to do CRUD operations with. Would it be better to work with GraphQL or normal APIs? I think for a lot of applications, it's hard to say something is better, but I think it would be better for developers to be able to work with GraphQL in most applications. Most applications that I've worked in anyway. I have not worked in any like enterprise GraphQL settings. So the only enterprise apps I've worked at were REST and SOAP. So I haven't tried in that way, but I think most applications would benefit from using GraphQL. Let's see. Question me. Okay, so arguments. Okay, so I define a class of arguments with attributes for each argument. Define the response. Okay, so I define how the mutation responds, and then I define what it actually does. I need a class method of mutate, where I get an object. This is updating the text basically, and then save. Okay, well, what if I want to add a new one, though? Am I looking in the wrong place? Let me look back at the basic tutorial. Okay, so that's just creating a model, category, query, resolve all ingredients, creating GraphQL views. Okay, this is all the setup that I already did. Relay tutorial. Make it, okay, so this is another feature. I don't know if I should get into this right now. SOAP is I want to say it's a pain to work with. I'm actually working with a SOAP API right now, and yeah, it's a lot more difficult to work with than REST. There are a lot of nested nested XML fields that you kind of have to traverse, and you have to write this big long XML query instead of just a simple JSON object that you can send and return from the server. So it's more difficult to work with. Some people who have been in development 15 or 20 years seem to still use SOAP APIs as the default, but REST is just so much easier to work with. Ingredients node. All ingredients, getting one ingredient. Getting nested. I do want nested things, but for right now I really want to be able to do mutations. Yeah, so let me just try to set up a mutation and see what happens. Let's see. Let me just grab this and then I'll update it line by line. Okay, so I'm putting everything in one file now. As this grows, I'll probably break it out into different files. I think with REST APIs, I'm just so used to setting up the app in a certain way. So with GraphQL, it's like, oh, I don't know how to set up the application in the most intuitive way yet. Okay, input arguments for the mutation. So I have, what do I want to do? Let's do a card similar to a question. So I'm going to do question and then answer. Okay, so I'll do question and answer for arguments. And I don't think I should have to... Oh yeah, the ID. The ID... But this is for creating a new card. Okay, I'm going to have to search the docs. Let me search for create. Oh, I don't think that's what I want. Okay, create. Let's see. Create new object, Django, Graphene. Stack abuse. Building a GraphQL. Creating a GraphQL. Salty Crane. This is from a year or so ago. Okay. So he's setting up all the things that we already set up. This is nice, he has this table of contents. So install and configure Graphene, create a new Django app, GraphQL, all the things. Try using GraphQL. Okay, so he does have mutation set up. Mutation create location. My first location, latitude and longitude, and then he returns the ID once the location has been created. This is exactly the thing that I want to do. So let me look. Oh, he's just creating a simple file. Let's see. Geo. Okay, so this create location. So he made a create location class. And then on a mutation, he used that. Okay. So let me copy this class actually. And because I feel like there's a lot of extra things in this mutation that I don't need just to create one object. So I'm going to put here create card. And oh, he has the location type. Oh yeah, so I'm going to put this as card, I guess, because that is my type. I should probably add like type or something or node to these names. but it wasn't in the documentation, so that's why I didn't add it first. Okay, so let's see. I guess I'll do card here. And then, so location type. So what does he have for location? Oh, that's the actual model. So here I'll do card model, and then he's saving that. Yeah, I'll do C. He has an abbreviation there, just until I get this working. So create location, I'll do, yeah, create card. And this is C. Okay. So let me see. So these are the three things that he wants to pass in here. I think I just have two. I have question when I create a new card, and then I have answer. Okay. So I do want to do the same thing here. And I think I'm doing this right. Let me see. So I need to do question, equals question, and then answer equals answer. And then need to get rid of these parameters. So question and answer. Okay, so that will be create card, and then I think I just need to create a mutation below. So just like he has a class of mutation, I can create one just like I created query. So let's see. This will be create card, and then create card. Create card dot field. I think this is right. Let me just see. So I'm passing in the type. I am, creating a new card in the actual database, saving that, and then returning it. All right, so let me try this. Let me see what happens in my GraphQL here. So it doesn't say mutation here. So I wonder if I have to register that. Yeah, it says mutation equals mutation. So let me, and he's also composing schemas, having a schema. So I guess instead of a URLs file in each app, what I should do is have a schema file in each Django app that I create. But basically, then I can pass in the mutation here as well. And now it should show up, oh, wrong thing. Okay, there we go. It's working. So now I do have a mutation, and I can do create card. So let me, I forgot I have no Vim here. So mutation, create card. I need to pass in answer. This is kind of annoying, but I guess programmatically I would never be doing this in this graphical interface anyway. So do I need quotes? Let me see what he did. Yeah, so just regular. Yeah, that makes sense. Why would I do a string without quotes? So let's say answer is, I don't know the question yet. So let me do question first. Question equals, and then the answer is ... Okay. And then I can, so he's returning the ID from location here. So I can do it from, I should be able to do it from card, from the card that gets created. Oh, it doesn't like what I'm doing. Why doesn't it like it? Syntax. Oh, because I need this. That's what I need. Okay. So now it will. So now if I try to do card, it's going to autocomplete. And return the ID. Okay. Let me see if this works. Message. Null value in column deck ID. Violates non-null constraint. In deck ID, why is it using deck? It shouldn't be using deck. I just have cards, right? Oh, it has to point to a deck. That's right, because cards are special. So I need to create, or I need to point to a deck. So let me just, I guess I can pass in the deck ID. So deck ID equals deck ID. I think it's just deck though, for the foreign key of deck. Let me pass in deck ID here. Oh yeah, and I need to add this to my arguments then. But this will be in integer? Is it abbreviated, I guess? Okay, and this will be deck ID. Alright, I think I can do that. Let me actually look at the model for cards. It probably would have been easier to do decks first. Yeah, because I have the foreign key to deck from here. Oh, hey Devileski, how are you? I wasn't following you on Twitter. Oh. I'm doing pretty well. What do you mean? You mean you're having coding problems or other issues? Right now, if you're curious or you just joined, I have been working on Django, so that's the wiki that I've been working off of. I'm making an API similar to this, which is a REST API that I made in the past, but now I am creating it as a GraphQL API. So I am, let's see, yeah, so I have one deck. I'm trying to add cards via the GraphQL interface here, but it's saying I need a deck ID, so I think if I add, oops, a deck ID here, I think I have to refresh maybe. Let me go into the mutation. Okay, deck ID is an integer that it's expecting, so let me do, oh, it added another question here. So let me do deck ID equals, let me find out the ID of this deck. Let me actually, in the admin interface for decks, let me display the ID just so I can see it. Oops, there we go. 1, okay, that's easy. So now let me do 1. There we go. And cannot assign 1 to card. Oh, it must be a deck instance. So I have to get, so I think actually when I save it, I need to query for the deck that I'm looking for. So I'm getting the deck ID and arguments, which is good. But here, what I'm going to have to do is deck equals deck model, and then I'm going to have to do, no, I have to do objects.get, I think. The objects.get, right? And then I need to add that to the card. So I need to do c.deck equals that deck that I just queried for. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be working, but not in the Django world. Alright. I'll be doing another Vue.js stream for this soon. Actually, I want to try something new in Vue, so I'm going to post about that soon. Yeah, so let's see. And I also have another live stream coming up where I'm going to have a guest on and we're going to plan a whole project and show kind of the project planning process. Because I feel like so many people have questions about that, and it's a really challenging thing to do is plan a project, do the schema, do everything from end to end to just even start building a project. It's not easy. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to, oh yeah, I think this works. So let me see. Oh yeah, it wouldn't show up there. Let me look at this. Deck has no attribute. Oh, right, because it's actually deck model. Deck has no attribute. Oh, objects. Deck model.objects.get. Let me see. Yay, that works. Okay, so I created a card with ID of 2. Let me go to cards. Sweet. Ah, awesome. What is it? Oh, it's just returning the ID. So if I add another card here, yeah, associated with the only deck, and I don't know, just a test card, save, and now I can query for this. So if I query, I should be able to get, what time is it? Oh, it's 11:30 already. All right, I have another like 20 minutes. I should be able to get the card here. So we do cards and then ID and deck and then question and answer. I think actually it wants me to call it deck ID here. No, deck. Oh, deck and then ID. Okay. So this is interesting. Alright, so that's pretty much what I want to do for cards. I can add the same kind of mutation for decks, but then I want to be able to do nested queries. So I think that's the next thing that I have to set up. So this is all getting quite big in the file. So let me take this and actually I don't need to copy the same mutation, but let me do create decks here. Hi Richard Me, how are you? How are you doing? Okay, so now I'm gonna do create deck. I'm working on a GraphQL API, and so far I have some of the CRUD operations. You can create a new thing, or you can retrieve. I think it's set up already so you can retrieve a single card or deck by the ID. Oh, let me go back. Okay. Deck. Is that right? Yeah. And then for decks, it's going to be title and description. And then I don't need an ID here because I don't have any foreign keys on deck. So I shouldn't need any of those things. And I'll just rename that to deck. And then create deck. Okay, so oh yeah, for arguments, so I need to pass in title and description as arguments when I create it, and these need to be here. So title equals title and description equals description. Okay, and this also, the card model should be deck model. And then I just need to add this to my mutations here. So create card, I'll have create deck and create deck. And I think that is it that I need for mutations. I'm just going to try out this mutation really quickly. So I'm going to do create, oh, I need create deck though. Let me refresh. Mutation, oh, I do have create deck. Okay, good. So create deck, description is, let's see. Did I mean create deck? Must have a selection of subfields. Oh yeah, I'm gonna add those, but it's giving me the error prematurely here. So description will just be new deck, and then title will be my test deck. That's fine. Okay, and then inside of here, I want to get the ID of whatever deck I create, retrieve that. Okay, so let me run this. And it created a new deck. If I go to decks here, yep, I can see that it created a new deck. Cool. Okay, so I can create decks, I can create cards. The cards are associated with decks. So all of that is good. And let's see, it's 11:38. I think I have time to do some try out some nested queries. So basically what I want to do here is what I'm doing in REST, I'm doing decks / deck ID / cards. So I want to get all of the cards associated with a deck. And I know I have to set up a new query here for that, like a new query method. So I wonder if I can just create like def resolve deck cards. But I'll have to create an object type for that. Actually, the object type is cards, right? Because I am returning cards. So yeah, let me see. Return card model dot objects dot filter deck. Oh, but I have to, yeah, I have to figure this out, because how can I pass in, because it should be deck ID, but then I need to pass in the deck ID here. So, I mean, yeah, do I add this as like a class method? Let me just see what happens here. So in query, cards, nope. Yeah, so I wonder, I need a new, I guess I need to make a new field here. So maybe I need to make a new field called deck cards. And this will be graphene.list. And then the object that I create, deck card. But this is really, yeah, it's really only cards. So let me just see, because that's the only type. I don't need to create a new type when I already have the card type, right? Okay, I have deck cards. Cool. And this should take another parameter. Resolve deck cards. Let's see what happens there. So if I do query decks, oh, it's not nested though. This is just like, let's see. Deck ID is 1. Yeah, I don't think this is what I want at all. Unknown argument. Yeah. That was a good try, but it's not what I want. So let me look in the documentation and see. Where am I? Here we go. Graphene. Let's see. So I did mutations. Let me do queries. Offer a lot for queries. Okay, so here, and it's right away in the documentation. So they do def resolve question by ID, which is what I want. So let me add that actually. So, oh no, that's for a single. Okay, but that makes sense. That's for a single card. The primary key, so if you want to get back one card. So I guess I don't have that set up yet. I can specify which fields to include, customize fields. Related models. So I think this is what I want, because they have a category and then they have a question has a foreign key to the category model. It says when question is published as a Django object type, you want to add category as a queryable field. Yeah, so I guess I add deck ID as a queryable field then to the category, and then I don't have to set up any other methods or anything. So let's see. Up here, so in card, if I add fields, and then, yeah, I guess I can just add the tuple. So started using double quotes, or trying to use double quotes, because black, my Python formatter recommends double quotes for everything, so I don't have black set up yet, but let's see. Oh yeah, this should be deck. So yeah, I think that will work. Default query set. So let me see how I can query this now. Let me save that. Okay, so query. So now if I query cards, fields, okay, so I have this deck field that I can optionally use. Cannot query field. Oh, this is deck cards. Let me just do cards. There is no deck cards. Unknown argument of type deck on field cards. So I guess that's not. Cannot query field ID on type of. Oh. Ah, I see. So this is just limiting what I can query on there. I don't want that really. I want to be able to query anything. So now this will work, I think. Yeah. Ah, okay, so that's not correct. I thought that was how I would do it. But question. Default query set. Resolvers. When GraphQL is received, when a query is received by the schema object, it will map to a resolver. Okay. Arguments. Class query. Graphene.field. So I can pass in. Resolvers will receive any arguments declared in the field definition. Okay, so I can basically, here I can have arguments. So I can do any of these arguments, but are the arguments nullable, I guess? Provide input arguments in your GraphQL server and can be useful for custom queries. Okay, so let me see if this works. So if I have, I'm sure there's multiple ways to do this. So now if I have deck equals deck ID, now I'm getting that argument in here, and I can have a resolver there to take in that deck ID. Oh, I have no deck ID, that's right. I need to take that in when I call this as an argument. Okay. Undeclared variable deck. Oh, I have to define it, that's right. As, yeah, it's just an integer because it's the ID. Okay, so there we go. And I think this will work. Let me change that to deck. And I think this is good. So let me try one more time. Alright, query. Okay, now I have this deck cards where I can pass in an integer. But deck cards and then deck. Let's do deck 1. And I'm just going to put question and answer there. Okay, cool. So I got all of the cards associated with deck 1. Yeah, so you can see these are all from deck 1. Okay, so that's technically working, but it's definitely not a true nested query. Like, this is just a custom function that I made. And I think, so if I look, yeah, let's see. Okay, there's no example. I thought I just saw an example. I think it was in the documentation. So, queries, that's resolving by ID. Yeah, so I want to do truly nested queries, but questions first too. Oh, you can do a lot of different options with your queries. All right, so I think the only thing I have time left for is actually, let's see. Yeah, let me try to do, just see all these queries. Okay, let me try to do a query to get just a specific cards. And I wonder, I can't remember the syntax, like $2 or something. I'm just gonna try to get the card of ID 2 and see if that works. Okay, unknown argument ID. Yeah, and I think that's because I need to set up the resolve question by ID. So I thought maybe it was going to set that up by default for me, but it doesn't. So I basically need this. So let me get, actually it will make more sense if I did deck by ID, because I'm not going to want to get a single card, I don't think. Because I want to pull all the cards to the deck together. Or maybe. I'm going to have to do a lot of filtering later anyway. So let me just try doing, oh wait, deck by ID, and use the same syntax. So it's going to be the deck model, and this time it'll be graphene.int. Yeah, I don't know why that's string. Maybe it's using a UUID, but I think mine are integers right now. So, okay, and then I need this function basically. So let me do, oh, I'll put this after dex. So let me do this, and getting a single deck. So deck, resolve deck by ID. Oh, resolve decks. Oh, it's plural. Okay. And then I do have ID here. I have ID here, so for decks by ID. And then I'll do deck model dot objects, and method should have self. It doesn't have self? Oh. Self, yeah. Why is it recommending to have root? Oh, I think that's just my linter. They can call it whatever they want. Alright, so let's see what happens. Query dex by ID. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Dex by ID. And I need to pass in an ID. So actually I don't know if you want dex by ID to get, yeah, I guess maybe you want one deck. I don't know. So dex by ID. Oh, and then I can just pass in the fields that I want. Okay. Description. Expected iterable, but not found one for fields. Query dex by ID. So I wonder, I must not be querying this correctly. So question ID. Expected an iterable but did not find one for field. Query dex by ID. So I wonder, is it expecting a string for some reason? Let me see. Oh, then this would have to be a string. Okay. Dex by ID. Okay, well, yeah. So I don't know what exactly is wrong. Maybe that's something that I can figure out, or someone else can figure out after the stream. But I feel pretty good about getting the mutations and the basic queries working. So I can query, yeah, anything that I would normally expect to query in GraphQL. So dex, ID, title. I can query dex or cards or whatever. All of that works. My mutations work, so I can add cards and dex and everything. And there are definitely some filtering options and some other things that I need and to make my nested queries better. But overall, I'm pretty happy with everything that I did in this stream. So next thing, I am going to push this to GitHub. And so I have like 5 minutes. Yeah, and then after the stream, I will be updating this Django GraphQL section later to have the steps for setting it up. So Let me create a new repository and no template. I'll just create a repository name, Django GraphQL, and yeah, let me call it spaced repetition learning, SRL, just so I differentiate it because I think I'll have multiple Django GraphQL projects. Okay, public, add nothing, create readme. Okay, and now let me actually get this git link. So I need to get a init because there's no git project here yet. Invalid developer path. Oh, I updated the computer. That's great. All right, missing that. So I'm gonna have to reinstall Git, which is not something that I want to do on stream. So hope you're doing well. This is a continuation of my last stream, which was Python Django GraphQL, and I did get Git working. So if you were here at the end of my last stream, you know that I had updated my computer and it broke Git. So I don't know if I had figured that out last time, but that's what happened. That's why Git wasn't working, but now I have a Git directory here. So I'm going to go ahead and push to this project URL. Well, first I need to do an initial add. And that's right, I didn't put a git ignore in this directory. Okay, so I'm going to go real quick to gitignore.io. That's just where I prefer to create my git ignores from. And I kind of just choose, if you can see, I choose a whole bunch of these options for operating systems, Vim, let's do Windows and Linux, Mac, Vim, VS Code, Django, Python, and that looks good. Okay, so now I can copy all of this text into my gitignore, save it, and now I won't be committing the PyCache or any of those kind of files. So if I do another git status, you can see it took out my VN. All of that looks good. So I'll do git, just add it all, commit -m first commit, and then git push -u origin, and then let's see, I have all these tabs open from last time. Oh, what was that tool? It was git ignore. Oh wait, gitignore.io. Gitignore.io. I guess TopTal bought them, so it reroutes you to another place, but it still works the same way. All right. And oh, I don't think I have an origin set up, so I'll do git remote add origin. Oops. Add origin. Oh, and then I need to actually put the origin. Let me try that one more time. Okay, so I have that, and now I can do git push -u, sorry, dash origin master. Okay, so yes, I do. This is from IKEA, and I love this chair, but the only issue you can see is that, oh wait, on this side, the green screen, you can see the green screen a little because it's mesh. So I'm thinking about putting some kind of black something over it. But yeah, very nice chair. I love IKEA. Okay, so here is now the project URL that we worked on from last time. Yeah, but I think it would be easy. At first I was just going to put like paper or something on it, but I think I'm just going to staple some kind of cloth into the back, because I really don't care what the back looks like. Like, I never look at it. Nobody comes in my office except me and the cats, so it's not a big deal. All right, so I have this GraphQL project. Let me go ahead and run it again so you can see what it's doing. Where's my brain right now? Python manage.py. I can run server. And no module. Oh, right. That's right. I'm not in my virtual environment. So I'll do source, get into my virtual environment. Now I'm in my virtual environment, and now I can run my server because my packages should be installed. Oh, it's complaining. Oh, that's cool. It's giving me a warning that I have a fixed date for my next review at date. I just put that as a dummy date for right now. But yeah, and you do need to update that. Maybe that's the first thing I should tackle then. Maybe it's not even worth it to be fixed. Yeah, I just think like every time I make a video, I'm like, oh, I wish there wasn't, all this green in the background. That would be nice. Okay, so did I find it fun to use GraphQL over the default SQL? I would say especially on the front end, I like GraphQL better. Can I use Control L even in a terminal? I know I use that in the Python interpreter. Oh, I can use it here too. Cool. I don't know why I never tried that, because in the browser console and in the Python interpreter that works. So thank you. Okay. Yeah, let me run the server again though. So yeah, in Vue.js applications, I would say I prefer GraphQL. It makes things quite a bit easier on the front end. I think if I was only doing back end for all time, it might not matter as much. But I would really like to do a more complicated app in Python and GraphQL. So I was thinking, because this app that I'm doing right now at work has so many different endpoints, and they're REST endpoints, and I was thinking, like, how would I do this in GraphQL? So I was starting to decide, how I would map the data, what schema I would create, and yeah, it would be interesting to actually try an implementation of that. So maybe I will. I wish I could show my work app on a live stream. That would be very cool. Okay, so this is basically what I was doing last time, and I got it so you can query for a deck by its ID. You can query for the cards in a specific deck. You can create a new deck, and you can create a card, basically. So that's what I have so far. I think the first thing I'm going to tackle, I wanted to kind of fix this app up, make it a little bit nicer so I could actually use it for a Vue.js application. So let's see. So this is a warning I'm getting right now. In my cards model, camera image being frozen. I hope it's not frozen. Let me check. My internet seems pretty good right now. Okay. I am thinking, because I'm about to move, so I'm thinking about getting a business line at some point, since I'm doing so much, on the internet all the time, whether at work or here or other places. So, okay, so I have my server running. Oh yeah, I want to fix this fixed date time. I remember I did this last time. So let me go to my card model in my models file. So I have, my next review at date. So this is a big part of spaced repetition learning, is setting when the next review at date is. And here I'm just setting it as like right now, because when you first create a card, I think it makes sense to study it right away for the first time. Is my camera still freezing? I could reset my internet, but then I'd have to restart the whole stream, and I kind of don't want to do that. So I have timezone.now right now, and I kind of want to have an endpoint for updating a card. So I don't have any. Oh, that's right. I was like, why didn't I put them in views? That's right. I put them in schema. But right now I only have one schema file, which I should really break these up. But like I have create card, create deck, all of these ones. So I do want to have another one for update card. And class update card. Graphene dot mutation, and card will be, this will be the same as create card, so it will be graphene dot field, because I want to use the same model, basically the card model. And then here I'm going to have I guess different arguments here. I'm going to have, because I need to know, did they get the card right or did they get the card wrong? I need to be able to calculate when they need to review that card again. So, sometimes it is. The sound quality is good. That's good. All right, so I'm going to do another class of arguments here. Class arguments, and then don't need to pass in anything. So I'm gonna do this is, I guess it's gonna be, I wonder how to do this update for GraphQL, because this isn't, in GraphQL you only send post requests for everything. So it's not like I can do a patch or a put to update something. So this is an interesting challenge. So if I had all of the elements of the model here for a card, I would have question, answer. Of course, I need the foreign key for deck. And then for buckets, when they create a card, I just leave it as the default. But when I'm updating a card, I need to be able to calculate the bucket and also the next review at and the last review at date. So I think here I'm actually going to take an argument and something like status. And status will be, I guess, easy. I don't know if I want easy or hard. Easy, average, or hard. Like if it was difficult, maybe I'll put difficult. And that's whether or not they stay in the same bucket, they move up a bucket, or they decrease a bucket. And based off of the bucket that they're in, that's how many days in the future I'm going to set the next review at date as. What internet do you have, Raider 1? I'm about to move, and so I don't think, well, if I am able to, I'm hoping to move soon, then I don't think that, mobile internet, that's why. Yeah, I can never get stable mobile internet. Yeah, so I won't be able to have fiber optic internet in the future, so that's why I'm considering a business line. Oh, cool, from India. How are things going in India? Yeah, I'm going to send in the status. So I'm going to send in, I think, 1, 2, or 3. Easy, average, or difficult. Maybe I'll mark that here. And I'll have to document that somehow. Maybe in a lookup table or something. I don't know. Okay, so status, they're going to send in status, question, answer. Is there any other thing that they would update with a card? They're not going to be able to change decks. I don't have that feature right now. These I do automatically. the bucket I'll calculate for them. So I think that's really it. Like if I'm going to update a card, these are the only 3 arguments that I'm going to pass in. And I wonder if I can make these optional. So of course, let me just make it not optional for now and then try to make it optional. So I have graphene.string status. Let's see. Status will be, I guess, an integer. Yeah, that makes sense. Integer. Okay, and the deck ID is already set, so I don't need that. Let me put this back here. And now I need to create the mutate function. So I can just use regular Django logic for this, so it shouldn't be too hard. So I'll create the mutate. I need self and info, and then after that I'll pass in question, answer, and status. Status. Okay, and then I need to get the card first. So I'm going to do this time card equals card model. And then I'm going to do, let's see, dot objects dot get, and then look up the card model based off of the, let's see. Yeah, a post-syntactically valid code. Okay, that's from 2013 anyway. Let's see. Geeks for Geeks is pretty good. Oh, sorry, was the stream down? Yeah. I'm on Wi-Fi right now because my cord had issues, so yeah, it might be just the Wi-Fi here. Let's see, Django CRUD create, retrieve, update, delete. I'm trying to see. Detail view. I just want to look at code and jog my memory real quick, but this is not helpful. Let me go on Google. Maybe I'll get a better result. Select and update. Oh, we want to do filter dot update. Yeah, dot update. Okay. Field 1. So filter, they're actually getting a bunch of these. So they can update all of them at once. And then you set whatever values there. Okay. So let's see. So I can do c.update. And it wasn't auto-completing, so I thought maybe that's not going to work. And I don't even know if it's going to work, but I'm going to see. So I have my object. I want to update it. And then I have question, ID, question, answer, and status. So I could put all of these in individually. So question equals question, answer equals answer, and then So status is actually something I need to calculate first. So I think I'm going to take, based off of its 1, 2, or 3, I'm going to have to set the bucket. So bucket is, oh wait, I need the card first. So I have card.bucket. Hi Richard, me, how are you? Yeah, hopefully you're enjoying your vacation, or if you're on vacation now. So I need to do card.bucket, so c.bucket, and that will be also an integer, because that's an integer field here. So I'm going to get the current bucket, figure out what bucket they're in, and then if it's easy, I'm going to move them up a bucket. If it's hard, I'm going to move them down a bucket. If it's moderate, I'm going to just leave it the same. So I think I have to check. Let's see. Bucket equals c.bucket if bucket is no, I have to check status. So if status equals 1, then I'm going to do bucket. I wonder. No, I think this is good. Okay, so I'm going to do bucket plus equals, if it's easy, yeah, minus equals 1. And else, oops. Okay, and else, actually else if. So elif status equals 2. I'm going to do bucket plus equals 1. Okay. Hey remote, how are you? Oh, you're in tier 4 lockdown. What city were you in? I don't know exactly what tier 4 lockdown is, but that doesn't sound good. That sounds like you basically can't go anywhere. Which is where we're headed again, I think, soon. Not that we go anywhere anyway, but at least to the grocery store, and stuff is open if we did want to. Okay, so bucket is bucket. Okay, so status is 1. If they found it easy, take them down a bucket. Otherwise, take them up a bucket. The thing is that here they can only go from 1 to 5, which, do I have that? Yeah, they have to choose one of these, so it has to be in one of these. So I think it's going to throw an error. I'll just let it throw an error for right now, and then I'll put this in a try catch or try except after. So, oh wait, I want there. Okay, so I want based off of the bucket, so I'm going to set the bucket now. And so this will be bucket equals bucket. But then I also have to set the next reviewed at date based off of the bucket. The next review at date. Oh yeah, and last review at date will be timezone.now. Okay. So next review at date, and then last review at date equals timezone.now. And I have to import timezone here. Let's see, Graphene. Oops. Yank it again. Okay. So mutate arguments. Where am I? Here am I. So I have next review at Hey, Tall Guy Jinx, how are you? It's good to see you. What have you been up to lately? I'm gonna do, oh, Eastern England. Yeah, I think they've been on and off lockdown for the whole year. I have some friends in London who said they pretty much couldn't do anything. Um, let's see. Next review at. Okay, this is the calculation that I have to make. Just lots of obsidian things and interviewing for new jobs. Very bold to put that out publicly. Or I guess you're interviewing for jobs in your company too. So that would be great if you could stay at the same company. Okay, so next review at date. Yes, this is what I have to calculate. So, oh, you finished your first Python app. That's awesome. What was the app about? I love Python, as you can see. So what do we have to calculate? So basically, I have to get here. So if they, depending on what bucket they're in, I'm going to take the bucket and look up how many days to, and really this lookup table doesn't even work that well. So because I need an integer lookup for these. So I'm going to have to put this somewhere else. For right now, I guess I'll just put it like in this file and then move it somewhere else eventually. But I basically, wait, I keep hitting the wrong hotkey on this keyboard. All right, let's see. So if they're in bucket 1, I'm gonna have to do 1 day. If they're in bucket 2, I'm gonna have to increment by 3 days. This one, bucket 3, is 7 days. Adding time tracking records to a CSV that I gather from your chess timer that you're using for productivity. Speaking of the chess timer, I've had that on my to-do list to order one of those for a while, so thanks for reminding me. I actually thought I ordered it, and I was waiting for it, and then I realized I never ordered it. Yeah, which is typical me, I guess. But that's good. Actually, you helped me a lot with my productivity and trying new things, so thanks for that. Are you doing a video on how you're doing time tracking? Okay, so let me separate this. So calculate next review at date. And now, let's see, how do I get the future date from Django time zone? Let's see. Django time set future date, maybe? I love Anki too. Anki's awesome. But I've been building so many different Anki things. I feel like I just need to settle on one Anki app to be working on. It's not even Anki because Anki's like their proprietary name. So what I'm doing is just spaced repetition learning. So, but I've been conflating it with Anki for so many years now. It's hard for me to not call it Anki. Yeah, but I love it too. Hi, it's Wugga. I love Django too. Django's awesome. I've been so in love with it for the last year or so. All right, how to set Django model date field to a future time. This is exactly what I want from 2018. So it should be the same. Okay, now timezone.now. Okay, but you can do now plus time delta. Days 1. Okay. I feel like I should have a helper function where I pass in the number of days just like this, and then it returns the proper time. Let's see, return date, model.date field date, return date time. Yeah, okay. But this is a helpful little function. So I'll put it in my schema right now, and I'm going to move these buckets and the dates somewhere else eventually. But this is fine for now. I also need to break up this schema file. Lots of cleanup to do. Okay, so I'm going to pass in days here. Yeah. And then here I can just replace that with days. So let's see now. Yeah, all this looks good. And then return date time. This is a good helper function where I can pass in the days. So I need to get days here, and then I need to call return date time, pass in the days, and this will be my next review at date, basically. Next review at, yeah. So here I can add next next. Where's my autocomplete? It left. Okay, so now I just need to figure out the days, which will be from the lookup table that I created here based off of the bucket. So bucket 1 goes to 1 days, etc. Okay, so where can I apply for a chat moderator? Hi, RIP I don't have applications for chat moderators. And in fact, I've been so busy with work and I'm starting school again and all this other stuff. So I feel like I'm not going to be such a huge live streamer that I need a lot of chat moderators, but thank you. When can you play my game? My game, this is not a game, but hopefully it'll be done one day. That's what I always say. You can always download my code. My code is all available on GitHub. So feel free to do whatever you want with it. Hi, DJ. Thanks for the follow. Not a game feels bad, man. Okay. Days equals, so I need to calculate, let's see. So I take the bucket, or I take buckets, and then I do bucket minus 1, and that should be the correct tuple in the tuple. So I should, I'll get the correct tuple, because bucket minus 1, that'll be the index of the correct tuple. And then inside the tuple, I need to get from index 1. So I need to get this number. So that should get the number of days. And of course, I'll need to wrap this in a try statement in case there's an error, but I can do that in a bit. And now I need to return something. So let's see. Before I was returning mutate create card. So let's see, c.update. So this will save, that will update. So what should I return? C, I guess, because the card's already created. Yeah, let me try this whole thing and see what happens. Update card. I do need to add it to, where is it? Mutation here. So let me do this. Update card and equals update card dot field, and dot field should be, I have the field set to card here, and then it should run, oh wait, here, but it's the same. It should run this mutate. Where is it? Okay, it should run this mutate method here. And let's see if this works. my server appears to be running fine, so I'll get rid of that. Planning on learning blockchain, what do you say? Would you mind if I ping you later this week? Sure. The best place to reach me is actually on Discord. And I do have a blockchain channel on Discord. I'm trying to funnel every question into there so I don't have too many places to look. But yeah, if you have anything you want to talk about, comments, questions, or anything, then Discord's a good place. Okay, so I have mutation here. Create card, create deck, update card. I need to pass in answer, question, and string. Oh yeah. How do I know which card it is? Oh, I need to pass in the card ID here. That's right. So I need the ID here then in arguments. ID equals graphene dot, let's see. Yeah, it's an integer because I'm using Postgres, so I'm just using their default IDs. So now I have an ID field. So if I refresh, mutation. All right, so update card takes those 4 things. So I need answer, ID, question, and status. So let me run this first. Okay, so it's still working. Comment this out. I need a card ID, so let me query cards, and then I can, let's see, question and answer. Okay, so I should be able to get a card. So here's a card I have. Let me just use the ID 3, and I have question, hello, answer, testing. That's fine. Get rid of that. And now I can do mutation and do update. Let's see, update card. Oh, you're on Discord. Oh, I've probably seen you on there. I kind of remember people by their icons on Discord. So I have to see your avatar. Okay, so update card. I do need to pass in all of those 3 things. So the ID was 3. Question is hello. And answer, I need to change this to something to see if it's actually updating. So instead of testing, I'll do hi and see if the answer updates. And that should return the card too, so I know. And then status, let's say status is moderate. So I'll do a status of 2. So that really shouldn't change the bucket at all, because bucket only changes if the status, oh no, I made a mistake. If the status is 1 or 2. So let me leave it for right now, and I'll fix that in a second. So I'll do 3 then for now. And that should be good. And then I need to return, let's see, the ID, I think. Oh no, I can return the card, and then on the card I can return the ID if it's successful. Name time delta is not defined. Where am I using that? I think that's here. Oh, time delta, that's right. Okay. So I need to, oh, I think it will be time zone dot time delta, right? Is that true? Maybe, let's see. Oh, let me run it again. Oh, card has no object update. Yeah, I thought that was wrong. Okay, so I think I can just pass it into the card itself. Let me see. Django update. update item. Calling update on a single model instance. Yeah. From Django 1.7, there's now a new update or create query set method. But do I want that? Just be careful of potential race conditions. Da, da, da. Object created. I don't really want. Oh, then call save to persist it. Update fields, and you can pass in the fields that you want to update. Let's see, if you only want to update the model that exists without creating it. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. .update. I think I just need to look at the Django docs. So here's update or create. There's get or create, yeah. There's create, get. Let me do update. Select for update. Returns a query set that will lock rows until the end of the transaction. Select for update. Okay, so I guess that prevents you from trying to update multiple times at the same time the same object. Is that what it does? Auto join. Okay. Normally fails in auto commit mode. I think I'm just thinking about this the wrong way. Methods that do not return query sets. Yes, get. Get, of course, does not return a query set. I mean, I could just do that filter, but it's always only one item, so I don't see why I would need to return a query set for when I know there's going to be one item, because it's based off of ID. But let me just entertain that and see if this actually works or if I have more bugs. Did it restart? Let's see. Query set object. Okay, so it does update if I update on the query set. It's just when I get a single object, it doesn't. That's fine. This doesn't bother me that much right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, a query set has no attribute bucket. That's right, because now I don't have a single instance of the item. I have a whole query set. So actually that does bother me. So let's see. I know I'm definitely doing CRUD operations in most of my other applications. I'm just thinking, because I'm not using the REST API. So let's see. Let me try to search for this in a different way. Django update single object from get. How to update. Let's see. I'm using the code below for update the status. Has no attribute update. Yeah. So I could, yeah, so I guess I could update individual attributes. There's no, oh, they're talking about update attributes. Okay, so they wrote a helper function for it. Okay, I'll just do that. I think that makes sense right now. Get out of here. Yeah, that's like the easy solution. So let me get out of here and do c dot question, and then I can just do save. I guess update makes sense if you have if you have multiple items, you want to have some kind of method to update the whole query set at once. Okay, so let's see. C dot next review at, and then C dot last review at, and then I need to do C dot save here. Is that it? Is that everything that I'm doing? I think that's everything. Okay, field bucket expected a number, but got a tuple. Why did it get a tuple? Okay, I did something wrong here. So I do have my tuples here, but I should be just looking up a single value inside of there. So if I am doing bucket, let's see, bucket and then 1, and actually I don't have the Django sidebar or Django tools. So yeah, I guess I need to figure out, are there specific tools for debugging in GraphQL? Or should I just use editor tools? Or yeah, that will be something I need to research too. Okay, so I'm just going to print out here the bucket. And then I'm going to print out days here, because it's throwing an error right here, I think line 82. So I'm going to see what these two things are and what the next review at date is. Next review at. Okay, let me try that. My server's running. And let's see. Okay, I got 1 and 1. So those are completely normal. The bucket is 1, which it should be. The days are 1, which it should be. That's working completely fine. Then next review at day is let's see, I'm passing in days. Days equals days. I'm returning the time zone. So actually, in most recent call, Django fields, field bucket expected a number but got 1, 1. Now I wonder why. Here actually, it's not printing, or I don't think it's printing the value here. So let me do a little bit better job of putting these together. So let me do days. No. I'll do bucket, days, and I think that's it. Hi, Eliskovic. Thanks for the follow. How are you doing? So let me try to run this again. And yeah, so this comes out perfect actually. 1, 1, and then I'm just doing something weird. I must be doing something wrong here. Bucket equals bucket. Oh man, okay. Well, no, bucket shouldn't be a tuple still, because it should be this number. So bucket is an integer. So why is it saying that it's not? Because all my numbers are right here. So I wonder what's going on. Field bucket expected a number, but got a tuple. It shouldn't. Let me see if this works, if I just hard code that. Oh, did I do it too soon? Oh, it's still getting a tuple. So there's something just grievously wrong I'm doing, and it wasn't that. So let's see. I have question, I have answer, I have bucket, I have next review at, I have last review at. Let me try doing this. Okay. Expected string or bytes like object. GraphQL located. I think parse datetime. I wonder if this is because this isn't from GraphQL, so I wonder if it's complaining about what I'm returning here. But it shouldn't. I'm returning my object. So yeah. Hi, TR God. Yeah, I'm not sure. Someone else mentioned that my video froze a few times, so sorry for that. If there are any dropped frames or something today. Yeah, I'll try to check it after the stream and hopefully have whatever it was fixed before next stream. So sorry about that. You are a backend developer from Turkey. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love Django, and then what I use on the front end is Vue. So I'm guessing you're interested in Django, which is cool. Okay, so let me see. The first error I have is with the bucket, and then the next one I have is, I'm guessing with the return, it doesn't like my return value from my mutate function. I'm not entirely sure about that because I'm kind of new to using GraphQL in Django, but that's what I'm thinking anyway. So I think the first thing I need to figure out is, why is this trying to set this as a tuple? That's just weird to me. Hi, JLo, how are you? Oh, you do use PHP. I haven't used PHP in a long time, but I hear it's evolving nicely. What is it now? Last time I checked, it was like PHP 8 or 9, so must be on 10 or so now. Unless they're doing what Python's doing and just updating the minor versions of the same major version. Okay, so what if I just comment these three out and see? Update card null. Okay, so I wonder if, let me check on this. C.bucket. Yeah, I do have bucket. Okay, just want to make sure it's there. C.bucket equals bucket. And then c.next review at. So why is it coming back as null? Basically, I should be returning the card. When I create, I'm returning create card. So I guess I could just, I'm kind of returning the create, so I could do this. PHP 8 just released a month ago, and now the code is being compiled. Wow, that's shocking. That's cool though. So I heard they were moving PHP to be more functional. Is that pretty much how you're using it? Like more of a functional language? Or I guess there's so much legacy code written in PHP, so I'm not sure if it would be easy for them to completely do that. Okay, post GraphQL. Yeah, I wonder. Return c.save. Update card. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into the Graphene documentation. So this is Graphene, Graphene Python. Oh, not anymore. All right, have a good night, Raider One. Take care. So this is Graphene Python, which seems to be like the most popular GraphQL implementation for Django. There are some other up-and-coming ones, but this one's been around for a long time. PHP has very good compatibility, can almost upgrade it without touching anything. Oh, nice. I felt like that with upgrading some Vue apps, actually, that I didn't have to do almost anything, just like run a few find and replaces, and it was updated. GraphQL with Symfony. Never tried that. I've really only done GraphQL with JavaScript before. So this is interesting. Let's see, query and object types. What am I looking for? Mutations, definitely mutations. There's a simple example. Here they're saving a new item. Oh no, they're not. Let's see. This class attributes define the response. So they're defining this question mutation. They're defining update question. I should have looked here first. But it's pretty much what I want to do. Oh yeah, that's right. They're returning an instance of the mutation with question equals question. Okay, so I think that's missing here. So let me do this. And then I want to return an instance of my mutation, which is update card. So update card, and then card equals C. Yeah, because they update it first. Okay. And actually, if I had really thought about this is the exact same thing I had to do with create card. I had to return an instance of the mutation. So yeah, don't know why I didn't think about that. Okay, so these are all my other errors, but let's see if I can get this to work error-free for a second. Sweet, that works. Awesome. So now, oh, and it should update now. So if I comment this out and now I run that query to get cards, why is everything a tuple? Oh, I changed question and answer to stringified tuples. Why? I don't know. Let's see. Am I getting... I can't possibly be getting that as input to the function. That's just not possible. Are you sure that GraphQL query is okay? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe my query is wrong because I'm getting weird things in my data now. Let's see. I'm doing the same thing with create card though. I'm passing in those things and I'm doing the same thing here. So I'm doing update card, question, hello, answer, status. Yeah, I'm doing all those things. Very strange. Okay, let me return these things off the card. So, yeah, why is it doing that though? I've got to be doing something here that's making this go awry. I don't remember what to return from mutators, but yeah, it should be. It's, yeah. This all seems weird to me. Does it seem weird to anybody else? Status. Let me see if I'm even getting the right things in here. Yeah, I'm string number. That's completely correct. These numbers are completely correct. For some reason, when I'm updating here, it's like putting them in tuple form. Okay. Can I print out C here? Or do I have to do C dot fields or something? String returned non-string tuple. Maybe check variable types in the schema. So my variable types, I have string and integer. Those are the types that I'm getting in for my arguments. And they're coming in correctly, but yeah, why? I'm not even changing question at all. All I'm doing is setting it equal to that. So I could print C dot question. Yeah, this is actually, yeah, why is C dot question a tuple? Is that how it is? Because I think, like in the Graphene example, they're just passing in text, which is, oh cool, it's required equals true. I need to update. So this is ID. Oh, that's probably what I have to do actually, graphene.id. The problem might be what I'm getting in C here. No, because it was updating just fine actually. Graphene.id, I think that's just for creating new objects. Because, yeah. Although they're using it for the ID for lookup though, so I should probably be doing the same thing. Get the primary key equals ID. So yeah, maybe I'll just try that and see if it does anything. Let's see. Thanks for the follow, 321. How are you? Okay, so answer graphene.string status is an integer. Let me see if that works. Let me go back to this, and I'm still getting it in. I think it's doing the same thing, so it's not anything new. But this is just baffling me. Like, why would it? Like, now to get it off the tuple, I would have to get it at index 0 and then run that. Oh, it seems to be changing it to a tuple after, because question is still a string, so now it's setting it equal to just H. So the tuple problem is happening after, when it saves to C.question. Okay, well my assignment should have space in there anyway. Alright, so I guess I can look this up maybe. Let me look up Graphene, because I've never had this in any REST API ever. Graphene Python saving as tuple problem. Let's see. Addition of tuples, no. For the named tuple, here it is. Django converts value to tuple after model field updating. Yeah, why is it doing that? Yeah, I guess this has nothing to do with Graphene. This is just Django. So I guess the problem is the comma at the end. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I am so stupid. Sorry, this is just, yeah, because when I took it out of, I was passing all these things in as arguments. So when I stopped doing that, I left the comma at the end. Oh man. Yeah, it happens. Okay, so none of these should be tuples anymore. Let's see if this works now. Thank you. If I was logged in, I would thumbs up this. That was so helpful. Yes, sweet. Okay, now it is correct. It's working correctly. And actually that wasn't too hard to solve. Let me put some space here. And oh yeah, it's all working. So that means the bucket, let me get the bucket back and next review at date. Let's see, 2012? Wait, 12 is a month, yeah. That's December 22nd. What's today? Today's the 21st. Okay, yeah, so that's correct. Sweet. Now let me change my bucket bug here to, this is 3. Because this should be, bucket 3 is hard, so that should increment the bucket. Bucket 2 should leave it alone. Or status code of 2 should leave it alone. Okay, and now let me try to get some errors in here so I can do some error handling too. Okay, so status 3, let me play this now. Wait, bucket is A_2? Where did that come from? What if I change the bucket to 1? A1? I think actually maybe this is because I have this set as choices. So maybe that's it. I think if I do 1 again, that's going to throw an error. Yeah, but receive 0. Okay, so that's all working correctly. Except for the error, of course. So, what is this? GraphQL error, expected a value of type card bucket, but received 0. So all I'm going to do here is if there's an error, no, actually I'm going to wrap this, no. Let's see, or I could just check if bucket's out of bounds here. Instead of, yeah, I shouldn't be checking down there. So I could just check like here if bucket is less than 1, then bucket equals 1, and then L, is this the best way to do this? I don't know. L if bucket, let's say is greater than 5, because I don't want it to be out of bounds, basically. So, or I could set the status here, actually. Maybe I'll just do it, yeah, I'll do it here instead of adding a whole nother if statement block. So I could say if status equals 1 and bucket is greater than 1. Because if it's 1 or less, then I don't want to subtract from it. And I'll do the same thing here. So I'll say in bucket, but this time I don't want to add to it if it's already 5 or more. So let's say 4 or less. And bucket is less than or equal to 4. Okay. So if it's less than or equal to 4, go ahead and add 1. If it's yeah, greater than 1. Okay, that makes sense. So I think this should work without throwing an error. No. A valid type of card bucket, but received 0. So maybe I need to reset this. Let me look at what it is in my Django admin. Cards. Oh yeah, my bucket is not correct now. So let me actually edit this field. Save it. Okay, now it's the correct. I guess I messed up my data. Okay, so now it is in bucket 1, but it will never go lower than bucket 1, so it won't throw that same error. Okay, and now let's say status of 3, so it was hard. Now I'm in bucket 2, bucket 3, bucket 4, bucket 5, and it stays at bucket 5. Okay, so it will never be longer than a 30-day period to review it again. By the way, I'm not sure who's here, but if you're listening, this is the code repo that I'm working off of. It's a Django GraphQL spaced repetition learning system I've been working off of. Basically, I built a similar thing in a REST API before, so I wanted to try it out in GraphQL. So let's take stock of all the schema, all the schemas that I've made, or I guess all of the mutations and queries that I've made on my GraphQL schema with Graphene. So where is this? Here we go. Let's see, I can do update card. I can create new cards. I can create a new deck. Here's create new card. I'll give it another line. I can query all the cards that are on a specific deck. If I pass in the deck, I can query decks. That's kind of weird. Decks by ID. That will only ever return one deck. So I could just query all decks. I guess deck by ID would be better instead of decks by ID. Where do I have that? Okay, that should be deck by ID. Yeah, I'm going to change that. Okay, so fix that. So I can get the deck by ID. I should be able to get all decks as well. There's all decks. And ID, what is it? Title, description. Cool, sweet. That's all working. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all of the basic endpoints. On my REST API, I had a lot of auth endpoints and other stuff like that, but here I've just kind of kept it simple. So I didn't have all of those things. But yeah, I think now that I've built this, I think some things I would do differently. I would break up the schema. So I really should have a schema file for each of my Django apps, just like I have a URLs file. If I was doing, what was I saying? Oh yeah, if I was doing a REST API or a regular Django app, I would have some kind of URLs file. So I should just really replace that with a schema file for GraphQL, so schema.py, and then put the schema related to each app and then kind of import the schema into each other. I think that would make the most sense. So create a new file. Let's do schema.py. Yeah, I think I should do that right now. Figure out how to break this up into multiple files and then just import them. And first though, yeah, I don't know why I'm still getting the fixed date. Oh yeah, because that's exactly the functionality that I want. So I should really suppress that warning. Okay, so let me go and commit this then. So let me look at the status. Of course, I modified the schema file. I did add these other two schema files that are empty right now, but let me go ahead and add them. Why not? Git commit -m, and I'll say added mutation to update cards. It's not well tested. I'll probably get some errors, maybe, if I'm trying to update fields that I didn't pass in. I guess I didn't test that. So that's fine. I'll push. Okay, so it's pushing now. And there. All right, so I have some more time though. Oh wait, it's 5:34. Okay, I didn't realize. I was like, I've only been streaming for 20 minutes. No, I've been streaming for an hour already. All right, so, or over an hour. It did reset once, so I don't know exactly how long. Let's see. So Python, let me run my server again. And real quick, I'm just going to try to break these into different files, and then I can maybe fix that update method a little bit. So these will be easy to move. So let me start with Dex. Let me move all the Dex stuff out. So let's see. What do I have for Dex? First of all, I think I will need to... Oh yeah, and then maybe I'll move this stuff out too. So let me get all of this stuff at the top, yank it, put it in Dex, and I don't need time zone. I'll probably need these two things. And then I won't need users or cards, so just Dex. And now let me go down here. So I have user, let me get it out of there and paste it in here. So class of deck, and then let's see, fields, don't need that right now. So a lot of this, oh no, I do have create deck, so I'll be importing these two, I guess. So let me do this. Oh wait, let me get rid of that, paste it here. Okay, so I have deck and create deck. And now actually this is a local import, so you can just do from .models import deck as deck model. Okay, while I'm at this, let me rename this to deck type, because that's what it really should be. And then I don't have to use this strange deck model syntax. So let me get rid of this. Cleanup feels so nice. Anyone else enjoy cleaning things up in your code anyway? Okay, get rid of deck model, create deck. So I think that's good. Oh, except here I'll have to pass in deck type. Okay, so I have deck, graphene.field, deck type, title, description, deck. I think this is it. Was this? Yeah, this was already. Talking about the model, not the type. This is the only place I need the type at. So I think that's good. Let me leave it like that and try to import those. So, yeah, let me put it down here. So from, let's see, apps.dex.schema import, let's say deck and deck type. And then do I need, oh no, deck type and create deck. That's what I need. Create deck. Okay. So I have deck. So this will change to deck type. So deck type and type. Okay. So that changes. And then this is the same thing, create deck. So this should still work. Let me try and see if it still works. Let me query create deck real quick, and then I can change the rest of them. Okay, so let me look at this mutation. So let me do new deck 2. My second test deck. Okay, so that created a deck. So now if I get decks back, if I query decks, cool. So I have this third deck. Okay, so that's all working. That's good. Now let me just move cards out to another file. So get rid of that. And what do I need to move out from cards? Let's see. Oh, I can also get rid of this. I'm not using it anymore. Yeah, no errors. Okay, so let's see. If I move, I need to move this. So let me get rid of that, put it in here. And then I need to get rid of that. And let's see, put that in there. And then this will be card type again. This is going to go to card model, or just card instead of card model. This will be card type. And then this will be card. Oh, I do need to import deck here. So, because I need to find the deck. Okay, I think everything else is right though. So I'll import deck here, and I'll import, let me actually, let's see. Yeah, I need these things. So actually I'll need all of these. So I need the time zone as well for this file, I think. So let me just import all of this stuff, yank it, and then, oops, there. And now I can, let me get rid of user, don't need that. Let's see. There we go. Model card, so I need to import card. So let's do card from .models, so get rid of this stuff. And I do need to import, let's say apps.dex, and then import the deck model as well, because I'm using that right here. And I think that's it. I have my card types. I have my create card method. I do have update cards, so let me go ahead and pull that, because that's where I'm using the other time zone functions anyway. So I can get rid of this, because I'm going to move that update card. So this one, which is my longest function. So get rid of that. And now put that in here. That's good. And now, let's see. Let me put this here. So I'm going to be importing cards here. So I'll do from apps.cards.schema import create card, and then I also need card type, and then I want update card as well. And actually I don't like the order of that. I want to put the types first, so let me just switch this around. Okay, that was a really weird error earlier, forgetting to take the commas off. I should have seen that. Like, why else would it be counting it as a tuple? Okay, so here I need to put type, so card type, and this will be type as well. And then, oh, resolve deck, so this won't be deck model anymore. It will be deck. Oh yeah, so I need to import the deck and card here still. Okay, so let me get those imports back that I deleted, because I'm going to need them after all. So decks, and then cards. So let me import card and then deck. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now I don't need some of these things anymore. And it looks like I don't need, I'm still using this though, here. So, okay, so I'm gonna leave those the way they are. Yeah, and I'm still using Graphene too. So why is it complaining here? Unable to import Graphene. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what's happening. Oh. .schema. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. Let's see, query mutation. I'm running into some kind of an issue. Let me try to see what this issue is. And it seems to have only been happening since I did the cards. So let me see why. So in mutation, I have update card, I have create card or create card. Those should be working properly. Could not import apps.schema for Graphene schema attribute type object card has no attribute name. Okay, so there is a problem. I have card type, which I updated because I used to just call it card. So something happened when I switched all of this stuff around. Let's see. Card type, model card. Am I importing that correctly? Yeah, I have card type. I don't even have card except when I'm actually querying directly for cards, so I don't see an issue with that. Let me look here. Oh, I still have card model. That's right. Okay, so maybe that will work now. It's still, let me rerun my server just to make sure. Okay, it's still not liking the, actually I'm only querying for decks, but it's not, it must not be liking my schema file now for some reason. So, let me see. I have all of this. So card.objects.get. Doing this here. Update card. I think this has to be type also. I don't think I ever changed this to card type. Yes. Okay, there's still a syntax error, but it's not the same error. So that's good. GraphQL 63.4. Unexpected end of file. Let's see. So, yeah, I don't know. Unexpected end of file. Let's see. Bad request. All right. Oh, okay. It was just from here. That's fine. Not a big deal. So my query does work now, and let me see if I can query cards. I really like these hover stuff. It really gets annoying, but the autocomplete is really good though. Okay, question, answer, bucket, etc. Okay, awesome. I have my cards. Let's see the deck. So I got a deck. Cool. So I can get the deck ID. Let me make sure all of this is working. So let's get the cards for deck of 1. Should be pretty much the same thing. Yeah, deck cards. I get all the cards associated with deck 1. Okay. Yeah, all of this is working now. I split up into different files. To keep my naming convention correct, I'm going to use user type here. And that will change this to user type. I'm importing user. Where am I using user model? Oh, here. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I think that's the only place I am really. So using that. Oh, wait, here in my user type. So that should be correct now for user. Should I move user out? It's only this one thing really. If I moved it into its own schema file. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to leave user. I think that's fine. And I have everything else working okay. What was the other thing I wanted to fix? Oh yeah, I wanted to test. So my update card that I was creating, I want to test this really. Since I have like another couple minutes, I'm going to test out my update card and see. Oh, GraphQL is not a database. It's basically something you would use instead of building a SOAP or a REST API. So it's an API tool, and the specific library I'm using to implement it is Graphene for Python and Django, so you can check that out. What is this? New way to write. Not sure. Okay, so update card. So update card is working, but what if I don't pass in a question? Let me see what happens if I don't pass in a question. Yeah, it's missing required positional argument. So I guess I would have to manually set those to required as false, which I don't really want to do. I'll just kind of assume this is a put, kind of like a put request, but for GraphQL, so not technically, but I'm just going to require all of those things. I'm going to require, yeah, all of these arguments. One thing I should do is status. It's not real clear, like what status should be. I should be passing in an integer, but it should be 1, 2, or 3 representing easy, average, or difficult. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You can also check out the repo that I'm working off of here if you want to look at my implementation. So I wonder if there's like, an API help, because in GraphQL, so I have this document explorer, and I can look through my queries and mutations, and I can see, okay, I have all of these arguments to pass in, but I wonder if there's some kind of API help text that I can put here. So let me check for that real quick. Filtering, authorization. That would be a fun stream to do for authorization and authentication stuff. Let me do help. I wonder if I can get this. So GraphQL, Graphene, help text on field. Unless someone else knows a better way to do that, maybe. API reference. Query, mutation, subscription. I haven't done anything with subscriptions yet here. Auto camel case. I think it does that by default. Yeah, default true. Because it changes my snake case to camel case, which is fine because I'll be querying from the front end. Let's see. Execute object types. Input object type fields. Object type enum interface. union. Okay, so I could do, man, there's a lot I can do with this, and the documentation looks great. Unmounted types, GraphQL scalars, non-fractional signed whole numeric values. Definitely don't want any of that. I can do enums, that's kind of cool. Structures. So list, there will be many values, yeah. I'm using that already. Type extension. And then execution metadata. I think this is what I want. Context can be used to make a convenient container for attributes to provide execution resolvers. Not really. Oh well, that's not what I want. Let's see, help text. No. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to document this better in code then and have a check. So this, right now, actually, status doesn't have to be 1, 2, or 3. So I could throw an error here. I wonder, like, what I'm supposed to do here. Oh, I can use this with Django debug middleware. I didn't. Yeah, I guess I can still see the SQL queries and all that stuff. So cool. Oh, it has its own middleware for Django debug middleware. And I guess there's a Graphene tab. That's good to know. That's interesting. Okay, introspection, schema, testing, API calls, settings. What about settings? These are subscription. Okay, that's not what I want. Okay. Oh, I wonder if types, maybe, oh, you can add different types, other types. I wonder if maybe there's a type where it can be a choice field, like you can only pass in 1, 2, or 3, or maybe there's validation somewhere specifying which fields. Oh, here's choices. Oh no, that's right. That's on my regular Django model already. Status is actually a field that I'm just passing in. It's not actually what I'm saving. Yeah, status is not actually what I'm saving in the database. I'm just using that to be able to calculate the values for the database. So I wonder if they have validation. Like, you know, in Django, you can do validation dot like max value and that kind of stuff. Or I could write my own validators, I guess. I wonder how they handle it here. String, description, surname, person. So I guess that this is if you're creating your own types. Decades, argument, boolean, default value, description. Oh, here, I wonder, can I pass in a description here? I think I can pass in a description. Oh, why did I copy that? Convert to dog ears. Okay, so let me try that out here. I'll just copy the same thing and then pass in description. Let's see. One required positional argument. Oh yeah, because I took out question. So let me do question, test, question. Okay, so I have that. Status. Let me see if it actually added help text to here. Yes, it did. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Okay, I added a description which shows up as help text in the documentation here, which I think is okay. It at least describes what they're supposed to pass in. Now, if they do pass in something else, I need to, because this is just a description, I need to stop them. If they pass in any other status, then I'm going to if status not in. What should I do here? 1, 2, 3. Then return. What do I return here? Some kind of error. Raise. I wonder if they have built-in status. Let's see. Error. Error will be thrown. They must have some kind of errors, right? Type. Do they? Does anybody know? Okay. All right, it's already 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock my time. So let's see. Query, mutation, subscription, fields, directives. Return. I could just do a Django error or a Python error. Testing relay API. There's got to be something here. Let's see. Return an error in Graphene. Let's say Graphene Django. Returning custom error messages. All right, let's start here. A better way to raise an error, to raise an exception on a mutation, for example, while trying to create a user with an email address that already exists. You can raise exception message, but is this the best way? Okay, from GraphQL import GraphQL error. Oh, good. Sweet. GraphQL error. So am I already importing GraphQL? No, I'm not. Well, wait, is this is GraphQL Python. So I wonder if it's the same thing. GraphQL error. Let's see. Let me look in the documentation here. Okay. I think this isn't the Django Graphene a wrapper for the other one? Let's see. Graphene. Okay. Let me try it though. Import Graphene. Well, I'd have to import GraphQL, the GraphQL library they're talking about. Where is it? They're saying to import from GraphQL. So I guess Python Graphene must import GraphQL as a dependency. So let me look at this one. Better error handling. Oh, this person is doing custom error handling. And this is also from 4 years ago. GraphQL syntax error. Okay, so he's importing it from GraphQL. So maybe that's what I want to do actually. And I wonder if this is a separate library that I need. So I'm going to try this. I don't think I have GraphQL installed. I'm pretty sure I didn't install that, but let me try. Okay. And let me raise a GraphQL error here. So, oh yeah, here. Invalid syntax. Okay, so raise GraphQL error. That email already exists. So instead it will be status out of bounds must be 1, 2, or 3. Okay. So that's my error message. And let me give some space here. Yeah, and let me look at GraphQL. It's saying none of these are installed, but they're in my poetry file, or they should be. Oh, that's my poetry log file. I mean my toml file. Yeah, I have Graphene Django here. So let me see if this runs. Otherwise I need to install that. Let me check. GraphQL error. So let me try to do a status of 4. Status out of bounds. Yes! Sweet! Okay, so the error works. The error works fine. Import GraphQL error, and now I do have some official error handling if they try to send in the wrong status. And some of the other methods, or some of the other items, like if they try to put in something invalid here, I think it'll throw them an error anyway, because those are already defined. Their types are defined in my model. So yeah, so I think that's it for today. Let me know what you thought in my Discord channel. If you have any questions or comments, or want to continue the conversation about Django. Thanks for the follow, Squint Dev. How are you? Let me go. Oh yeah. First, cool. That was actually an error that I wanted to see. Get status. Oh yeah, move stuff into their own files. So let me just commit and add moved schema, or I guess updated schema and broke into files. That's fine. And I pushed. And let me see. Sweet, I really do need a README for this. So that's the repo that I've been working off of today. I'm going to move it over to my Faraday Academy actually. And also I just want to post real quick. So this is the wiki that I've been working off of. And now that I finished this GraphQL, I really need to update the wiki to include how to, it has all the steps for building a REST API, but I really want to update all of these steps to include the real setup for GraphQL project and my recommendations for setting it up and stuff now that I've actually used it. So yeah, again, let me know your thoughts, join my Discord, and